The advice to just be yourself when dating a man is some of the best advice possible if you truly understand what it means, and it is also, and much more commonly, the worst advice or some of the worst advice that you can possibly take when you don't really understand what it means. And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to distinguish between the two, because your real self, we'll call it your true feminine self, your best feminine self, which is who you are, really is who you are. It's your authentic self. That's going to attract any kind of really healthy masculine man. It's going to inspire any kind of healthy masculine man into taking care of you, leading you, protecting you, providing for you. But if you be yourself, your wounded self, which is what most people understand is actually who they are, then you're going to repel the kind of man that you really want. Or if you're with a man right now, you're going to demotivate him from being the best version of himself, the best masculine version of himself that he can be for you. Hello, I'm Zach Rohde, and I am here to lead you into creating the relationship of your dreams by learning how to inspire a man into cherishing you using your feminine energy and what I call feminine communication. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, make sure you do that below, hit the notification bell, and be sure to like this video because I'm going to make sure it is a good one for you today. So I'm going to give you an example of what I am talking about here. Before I met my wife, there was a woman that I went on one date with, and we could say she was very much being herself. She was very extroverted. She was showing all of her personality. She was actually quite a lot of fun in many different ways. She didn't hide anything. She wore her heart on her sleeve in many kind of ways, and she actually cried more than once when I first met her. And initially, we really hit it off because I really liked that authenticity. I liked that she was just being real, that she wasn't hiding anything, that she wasn't afraid of hiding anything. And then later on the date, and this is just one example, right? There's many ways that this can manifest. She got stuck. There was something that came up, and she kind of started blaming me and also got needy and insecure about something that had happened. And I got really repelled. I really lost interest in her very, very quickly. Now, she was being very honest, right? She was sharing what she was experiencing, essentially. Like, I don't think she's capable of even hiding anything. So she would share that she was obviously quite emotional, that she was hurt in some kind of way, and she was sharing it with some blame and with some judgments, and I think even some self-pity stories. We'll call them self-pity stories. She was being herself in the sense that she wasn't trying to manipulate in any kind of way. She wasn't trying to avoid my disapproval, and she wasn't trying to get my approval, right? Because obviously doing either of those things is a problem. We could call either of those things not being yourself. If you're trying to avoid a man's disapproval, then you're not being yourself. If you're trying to get a man's approval, then you're also not being yourself. So this woman was not doing either of those things. And we could say she was being herself very, very clearly, and yet she repelled me. So is the advice to be yourself really good advice in attracting a man who has options, a man who is capable of, meeting pretty much any woman or dating pretty much any woman, which was me at the time, right? There were some issues with me. I was a man whore, and I don't approve of that kind of behavior at all, but I was very capable of meeting pretty much any woman or dating any woman that I wanted at the time. So, and of course, that was what really attracted her to me, is that I was very genuine and authentic and didn't hide anything, try to get her approval, avoid her disapproval in any kind of way, because I knew that I had options, right? So I was very confident in myself. And of course, women are attracted to that. So the issue for her, though, was that she wasn't being her best self, the best version of herself. Yes, she wasn't trying to avoid disapproval or try to get my approval, but she was stuck in all of these unhealthy patterns, right? A pattern of clinginess, a pattern of kind of putting her feelings of neediness onto me, energetically penetrating me with judgment and blame, and being stuck in this victimhood story. Okay? Even though you could say this was her being herself, it's a lower version of herself than what's actually possible. And what I help women do, not just from my YouTube videos, but also through everything that I offer, right? My academy, my masterclass, my books, my free Facebook group, is I help women become the best version of themselves, specifically their best feminine version of themselves. And most women don't know how to do that because they've been wounded in childhood and they get stuck in all of these control patterns that also keep them stuck in their love life. Right? Even if they're being themselves, even if those control patterns are not about manipulation, so you are being yourself, you're still being yourself in a way that's not getting the kind of outcome that you want. So let's look at victimhood, for example, right? So she was stuck in this victimhood story that I had done something to her, and she is kind of, not really overt, but she was subtly kind of blaming me for that. You could call that being herself because she was being honest. She wasn't holding back in any way. She was totally uncontained, which is good, but she's not being emotionally responsible when she does that, right? So that's what pushes away, especially healthy men. It might push away any man, but it's especially going to push away healthy men. Even if what they did, even if what the man did that caused her reaction is his fault, like he shouldn't have done that, it's still going to push those men away. And there's such a better way. Right? The best version of yourself is shifting out of any victimhood stories. It's shifting out of any clinginess, any like putting your feelings onto a man. It's also shifting out of hiding. It's shifting out of blaming a man in any kind of way. And it's instead about becoming really vulnerable. And what vulnerability is, it's letting go of any kind of control. You're not putting your feelings onto a man. You're not trying to get any kind of outcome from a man. You're not manipulating with your feelings. That obviously wouldn't be being yourself at all. But you're sharing them in a way where you're fully connected to your heart in that moment. And you're just expressing. You're just expressing what is coming up for you. And you're opening yourself up to a man's care, to a man's provision. So in that moment, for example, with the victim story, a vulnerable share might be something like, oh, may I please have some help? I'm feeling so much anxiety and some anger, and I'm like getting stuck in a victim story towards you, and I don't know how to get out. Okay? Think of that for a moment. Really imagine that. She's being so real. It's like instead of her going into the uninhibited of being in a victim pattern and putting her feelings onto me, she's sharing vulnerably what she is experiencing. She's fully owning everything that she is experiencing. She's telling me what she's experiencing. She's asking for help with what she's experiencing. That is also being herself, but it's a totally different level of being herself. It's like the highest level of being feminine, being responsible, being respectful, being receptive. And so the same emotions might be happening, the same experience inside of her might be happening, but she's responding to it completely differently. Both ways of responding that I've described, the way that she showed herself and the way that I'm showing you that you can show yourself and that she should have showed herself, both are authentic, right? Both are uninhibited. They're not holding anything back. But they're completely different as far as level of responsibility and level of vulnerability. And so it's going to get a completely different response from a man. So yes, the advice to be yourself is great. You do need to be yourself. Like you're never going to attract healthy masculine men by not being yourself, by being a fake version of yourself, including a fake version of yourself where it's like, ooh, I'm going to put on this feminine costume that Zach is talking about in this video, where it's like you do all the things that I'm telling you. You say the exact same stuff that I'm telling you, but to try to get an outcome, to try to manipulate a man into liking you or to avoiding him not liking you, right? Because that's just a costume. That's not real. That's not being yourself. Right? The real version of yourself is doing all of that, being that responsible, but you're doing it without trying to get an outcome. You're literally not trying to get him to like you or to avoid his disapproval or his abandonment in any way, right? That's what true vulnerability is. It's when you're letting go of all of the control. And that is what inspires a man into wanting to take care of you. And for some women, this might be a really difficult message to receive, because if you don't believe that your feelings matter, if you think that your feelings, regardless of how you express them, are a burden, that it makes you weak, that a man will think that you're too emotional, too much, especially on a first date, these shifts are going to be really difficult for you, right? Because that's a really big limiting belief that you have around your feelings and around your value, because your feminine value does come from your feelings. It comes from your vulnerability. And if you're afraid of showing it and you hide it by either avoiding sharing anything at all, or if you share it through judgments or through anything else, then you're not going to get the positive responses that you need from a man. And you're probably not going to attract the kind of masculine man that you want in the first place. You're going to attract a emasculated, weak man who can't lead you, right? You can have a man, just imagine this for a moment. You can have a man where you share all of this. Your heart is fully on your sleeve. You're opening yourself up to a man, even literally on a first date, and all you get from it is care. He fully sees you. He fully hears you. He's fully inspired to adjust his behaviors and give you care and give you reassurance and give you love. Imagine how healing that would be, especially if you never really received that in childhood. So you're getting the love and care that you've always needed, but you need to learn how to shift the patterns. This is what I help women do in our academy program, where we teach you how to communicate in this way. We create this safety for you to open up, where you're only going to get really positive, loving responses, where we're going to correct you with love when you make mistakes, where we're going to give you reassurance, where we give you everything, because you need that to heal, right? Because if you try this out in the world and you're still kind of stuck in control, you're stuck in fear, you're going to tend to not get very good responses from a man, even if the words are perfect. And the problem isn't what you're saying, it's that you're still stuck in control. You're not truly being yourself. You're not truly letting go. And the best way to learn how to let go is to have that support system, which can be us. It doesn't have to be us, but it'll make it far, far easier to make these shifts when you have that support and you get to practice in a really safe container, letting go, communicating your needs, communicating your feelings, communicating your experiences, and only getting care when you do. If that sounds interesting to you, then go below this video and open up the description and click on the link about our academy program. The address is thedreamrelationship.com, and there's a video to watch where you can learn all about what we do to support women to make these shifts in our program. And if that resonates with you, then book a call with me, and we can find out if the academy is the right choice for you to make these shifts. I would love to work with you if what I am describing is something that you need help with. And there's nowhere better to get the support. And if the academy is not right for you, go to the description anyway. We have tons of other offers, including much more budget-free offers, our masterclass, my books, my free group, my free webinar, my free polarity training, my women's dating course. Start making these shifts, start taking action, start using this support to learn how to inspire man into taking care of you. You can do it. It's all up to you. Go to the description and get started.